All right, all right. Welcome, everyone. This is our Thursday morning production call. We got a good one lined up for y'all today. First, I'd like to kind of go over what this is. If this is the first time you are joining, this is a 1 hour call, right? We want to make sure we bring you a ton of value. We don't want you just sitting here listening for an hour and then don't really go do anything with it. Highly suggest you go grab a pen and paper. I have a ton of notes as we go through this. I even take more. This is a great learning hour for all of us together. Kind of where we get our topics from is we literally go out and ask agents, right, that are struggling, performing, want to work on something, right? So these are problems that we are having currently inside of our agency, and we ask for, hey, what would you like to work on this week? Because production is like an ever ongoing work on yourself to continue, right, to get better and help more families. It's crazy. Like we'll focus on locking down a really good appointment, and then we'll have a whole bunch of appointments show up, but then we struggle getting right. We get a whole bunch of think about it. So hey, guess what? Next week we'll work on a think about it. Like we're always making sure, right, we're getting better at helping families. So that's where all these topics come from. So what we highly suggest is you take some notes, highlight like three things that you get off of this call. Because what I don't want you to do is, based on what you heard today, is change your entire appointment. Do not do that. That is never a good idea. You are already helping families. This is just to help you help more families, right? To just start getting a higher close rate. So what we suggest is take three things that you feel like, hey, you know what? I'm not doing that. And I feel that that would help me in my appointment, right? And then just simply go apply those three things. You don't need more than three things. I promise you. Grab just three things. And the hard part is going to do them in your appointment as of today, right? As you start doing that, it's amazing of how you'll just get a little bit better every single day, every single week. That's the best way, right? Over the years, we have learned to increase our right yeses and helping more families. So don't go change your whole appointment, right? Again, just grab three things, put them in there. And then what we humbly ask, this is a huge, the whole Chris hierarchy, that we all work together and we're training together. So if anything does help you, help a family today, right, or this week, if y'all can post it on band, hey, I did this, right, I prepped with my upline and this is what they showed me, or whatever it may be, right, I heard that y'all lock it down like this and I had a higher show rate all week long. Whatever helped you, if you can post it on band, other agents, right, read that and go take it as well. And that's how we just help and work together as a big community. So that is our humble ask. You post that in there and we'll get started. So we're going to have three topics. Let's cover the three really quick and then we'll break down each one. So the first one is setting up for a really good appointment. So write that down. We're going to set up for a really good appointment. We highly suggest, I don't care what level you're at. So me, James, Amber, Nate, we still prep for our appointments. And whenever it's a little fishy, we even ask each other for advice still to this day, right? Like, hey, I'm going to have this one coming up. What do you think? We even ask like, hey, their mortgage is blank amount and you're in this state, like all kinds of little things matter, right? The point being, we still prep with each other. I love to say this a million times now. Why are you trying to do this by yourself? Do not. There is no reason still to this day you prep for an appointment by yourself and ask no one for advice. We don't even do that. We prep with each other every single appointment. Why are you trying to do this by yourself when there's a team behind you? Even prepping for an appointment, do not do that by yourself. Ask just for someone to look at it. Most of the time it's great. But sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? I would do this. And then you just contemplate, right, which one would work best for the client. But again, to this day, we do not prep by ourselves. Right. We still use each other to prep for every single appointment. Highly suggest you do that, right? So setting up for a really good appointment is what we're going to cover. Number two is going to be how to work your leads. Okay. What we're going to do here is basically what's the best practices from working really all types of leads. Right, just some of the best results to make sure, right, you're at the end of the day, what we do is we resolve leads, right? So how to get more no's faster. That's what we're going to cover. And then finally, we're going to do the tie down for booking the appointment, right? A bunch of us are booking a whole bunch of appointments. We're getting a whole bunch of no shows. So we have some tips for ourselves and for y'all, right, of how to make sure you have a higher show rate of your appointment. So we're going to get started. We're going to start first again, setting up for your appointment. Um, Really, I want to talk about first making sure you're set up computer wise, right? So I'm going to share my screen. I've done this before, but I love to make sure everyone sees little things like this. It makes everything a lot easier in life. And here we go. So everybody see that, right? This is just my Google landing page, right? I open up a new tab and this is Google. The thing we're teaching y'all here is I have all my carriers saved, right? They're all under my they're all bookmarked. Okay. Do this, please. Don't try, right? Because the way you can go is you can go to Quality HQ, right? And I want y'all to look at all these steps I have to do just to get to a carrier, just to get to a quote, whatever you may be doing, right? You got to log into the carrier. Now you're going to go to products. I'm already impatient at this, Stacy. You see, you got to hit snooze on a whole bunch of things. See, I'm already annoyed. I'm over it, Amber. Oh, what, then you do that. Then you got to go to your sales tools. Then you got to go to your carriers. Then you're going to go see if you can get a quote and get to these applications, right? Do that the very first time because that'll get you to the carrier, right? But once you've gone to the site, right, you can just bookmark. This is straight to Mutual of Omaha. Make sure you're using Google Chrome because it works best for every single carrier. Passwords are saved. I just simply click in there. Doesn't get any easier. I can open another tab. I want to quote Americo. Very simple. I click on here, signs me in, right? Like utilize this ability, right? You want to do SBLI, right? And I do this for all my business, right? So I have my Ninja dialer, right? My Zoom, absolutely everything, right? And the cool part is if you're using Google Chrome, it saves all your passwords. You have access to them. You don't have to be scrambling, right? Do bookmarks. It's super simple when you get to the site that you want to do. That you want to bookmark. So like this is SBLI. Before you click inside of it, all you do is hit that little star right here. And when you hit that little star, it even lets you name it, right? And I just named this one SBLI, the other one Americo, right? Because it'll have a different name for whatever it is. But highly suggest that way when you log into your, right, when you open up a brand new page, you have everything you need, right? And I have it in order, at least in my little head, right? I always need my email first. Then I go to opt, right? I'm always checking my opt. Then I have my carriers. Okay. And then I have Quality HQ, right? If I send in contracts. So I highly suggest you do this, right? So it saves everything, right? You can go straight to applications depending on what you have saved, but that's the best way to do it. Highly, highly suggest you do that. And that way, again, all your passwords are saved. It makes it super easy, especially when you're in the appointment and you got to pivot and you need to open up a brand new carrier and you're scrambling for passwords and all this stuff, right? Just work, right? Put in 15 minutes worth of work to make sure when you're running appointments, it is super easy for you. So making sure you're bookmarking your logins for all the carriers and then, right, prepping. So again, the best way to do it, or the even again, all of us practice this. Even me, but when I book appointments, I don't book same day appointments. I book appointments for tomorrow, right? Again, do what's best for you. I just like appointments for tomorrow. I don't like same day, right? I like to make sure I have plenty of time because I like to fill my day tomorrow, right? I'm really good at tomorrow. I have 6 to 8 appointments, and then I'll get ready for them, right? My job today is run my appointments and dial, right? So if somebody doesn't show up today, I'm just going to dial and book more appointments, right? And I don't have to randomly start prepping for a 30-minute appointment that I booked in the future, right? I just don't, again, do what works best for you. Just for me, I love setting appointments for tomorrow. That's my happy place. So what you want to do is if you're dialing today, you're setting your appointments for tomorrow, right? What I do is I let the first appointment kind of tell me where my cluster is going to land. I like to book appointments ideally from like 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., right? That's like the window that I want. I always start around 4, right? 4 or 5 will be my go-to. And so let's say I book my very first appointment and they say yes to 5 o'clock. Now my mission is to book my 4, my 6, my 3, my 7, right? And that way I have a cluster of every hour on the hour I have an appointment. Then what happens is as I fill up that slots, right, I'll start going to the 30-minute marker, right? So I'll start booking 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. And my little method is if I felt that one was not really good, right? If they were, I was going through the appointment booking, right? And they're like, yeah, tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Yes, that's a good time. Hey, Joe, I'm still at work. So go ahead and just call me tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Okay, bye. Right. I will still book it at 3 o'clock because that's when he wanted me to do it. But again, that was a very, very weak appointment booking. So that's like my instant go to. I'm going to book a 3:30, right? Because the likelihood of that one showing up at 3 are very, very slim just because it was not a really good tie down, right? I didn't even get his email, whatever it may be. But that's how I kind of dictate, hey, let me start filling up my 30-minute markers, right? Because if I feel one was really good, I'm going to
Pretty
try to make
good.
sure, right, that one is
Yeah.
locked in really good. So
No.
let's get her perfect. And then again, right, then I'll start filling my 30-minute markers. And the reason I do that again is I want to have plenty of time to prep. So once you do that, once you're done dialing for the day, what you want to do is get with your upline and give them the information that you have. If you're already right a little seasoned and you already know what you should be showing, again, don't try to do this by yourself. Just right, show somebody, right? Show your upline, like, hey, this is what I'm going to show, right? They're 49, 48. They have no health conditions, right? I'm going to show them term 100 for 20 years, whatever you're going to show them, right? But show somebody, right? Like, don't try to figure this out by yourself. Um, it is just the best habits to make sure. What I love to do, especially to a brand new agent, is I want to see what you're going to show them, right? So not only know, right, because you can tell me, hey, I'm going to show them term 125. I'm going to show, right, I'm going to show them the full mortgage payoff. I'm like, can I see what you're going to show them? Let me see those slides. And James, if you want to share your slides, but I want to see the slides just because we add all kinds of little random stuff that we probably shouldn't, or it's going to complicate the client, right? Or make them think about it. What are those little things? You should never show the amount of years is on the policy, right? We're going to talk about it, but you don't have to put on your slides, right? 15-year, 20-year, 30-year. You don't want to put the name of the policy. They don't know what Term Life Express is. They don't know what Living Promise. They don't know term 125, right? You don't have to talk about all that. We keep it super simple. It's mortgage protection plan, and then it's for these amounts and this price. You want to stay away from, again, the names of the policies, the companies. You don't have to put this as America, this is Mutual of Omaha. We're not in the business of edifying a company, right? We are simply just showing them, right, what their best options are. We know, Cody, James's computer is slow.
You got to give him like 5 minutes.
Yeah. There it is. Don't touch anything, James, because you always move it. Right. So again, we keep it super simple. Make sure if they're 70 and below, you are showing accidentals, right? With Mutual of Omaha, you do got to have your health license. If you don't got your health license, right, this is where I call you up, not out. Go get your health license because you are leaving 30% of your commissions on the table. I promise you, 30%. That's a lot of money. Who doesn't want 30% more money? Okay. And that's because you can't show Mutual of Omaha accidental. So you need it. Go make sure you go get your health license. But we keep it super simple. For the accidental coverage, we just simply show 100 up and 100 down of the mortgage, right? So in this case, we'll say the mortgage was right 432,000. We would show 500 and 400,000, right? We just round it up, round it down. We keep that number simple because it's just additional coverage. That's how we get an accidental every single time that we show it because it's additional coverage. It's not to pay off the exact mortgage, right? And it's not in replace of the mortgage protection. It's additional coverage for another 40 bucks, 50 bucks, whatever it may be, right? So we keep it very simple like that. A couple of things that we do, right? Just for ease on the eyes, we put a dollar sign on the amount, right? The face amount, 500,000, 400,000, whatever amount you're showing. And then on the actual figure, the monthly premium, we don't put a dollar sign. There's no value on that, right? What we're finding is their coverage that they need to protect their family, whatever it costs, right? Because this is an emotional sale, right? Again, these are just cool little tricks that we've learned over the years that makes it easy on the eyes for the client, and it helps. And then, right, the next one, the mortgage protection, again, it's just an accidental program, mortgage protection program. We are not putting all kind, right? I have had, right, from agents send us, right, where it says the 15-year with Americo, it's term 100, more, right? The less you need to type, the better your slides are. I promise, right? It's ease on eyes for the client. Right, you don't have to explain all that little stuff. When you're talking about the option, right, you're still going to tell them this is a 10-year, 15-year, 20, right, whatever you're showing. They just don't need to see it on here because it's just confusing them. They need to understand the basics. And Chris Cook says this so well, right? Because everyone's like, well, I just, can you send me something so I can read up on what this does? And this is life insurance, right? It works one way and one way only. You pass away, it pays your beneficiary. That's it. You don't need to know terminal, critical, chronic, this, that, percentage, and it has I don't even know. When an agent calls me and they ask me to help them with products, I tell them to go call the carrier. I've done this for 7 years. I don't know nothing about insurance. I just know how to protect the family. And I know how to get them options that, hey, if you pass away, it's going to pay out $300,000, and that's going to be $93 a month for you. Very simple. That's how we protect somebody's home, right? Again, these are the slides that James uses, right? You can customize your own, do whatever you like, right? But just please do keep it very simple. The more you put on here, the more you're going to confuse them. We only show 2 options for accidental and then 3 options for their mortgage protection or equity protection. That is super important. Make a decision and trust you're the professional. Okay. Do not have mortgage protection, then whole life, right? Then the equity protection. Then I'm also going to show you some IULs. Then I'm also going to show you some 10-year and 15. No, 3 options. That's it. Make the decision. Now, if you need a pivot, but don't instantly show all those, because guess what you're going to get? You're going to get to think about it because you gave them a lot to think about. Like they're serious about that, right? They need to think about it. You presented a lot of things and legitimately, right, they got to think about that. So don't give them, right, too many options. Keep it super simple. Again, when you're doing equity protection, so where you see these, super important at the bottom ones, you do not show them it's a $6,000 policy, it's a $10,000 policy, 12,000. You show them what it does. Again, we don't sell on price, we don't sell on product. We sell that, right? We help them with a solution. We show them how this product, right, is going to help them, right, by showing them what it does. It's super important, right? This does 9 months worth of their mortgage payments. This does 12 months worth of their mortgage payments. This does 18 months of their mortgage payment. For simple numbers, let's just say their mortgage is $1,000, right? That means, yes, this policy is a policy for $9,000, right? And that gets them 9 months worth of mortgage payments. So you can't show them a $9,000 policy on a $300,000 mortgage. It doesn't make sense to them. It is super important to show them what it does, not what it is. Okay, because they're going to see 9,000 and my $300,000 mortgage. Like this does nothing for me. You got to help show them what it does, right? And what it does is, hey, I've gone through your budget. You have no money in your bank account. You bring in $5,000. Your wife brings in 800 in her Social Security. John, you're gone. None of it goes to her based on what we just talked about, right? Or maybe she inherits some of your Social Security. She'll get the higher one, right? So now she's going to be at 1,200, but expenses going out are 3,200. Like she's not in a good spot. She's gonna lose everything. So this 9 months does everything for her, right? Because they have $100,000 worth of equity in the home. She doesn't have to figure it out instantly. This buys her time and helps them figure it out. That's why it's so important to show them what it does, not what it is, right? So be really good at explaining it that way. Again, these are just some good examples, right? We keep it super simple. Again, this is not Eagle Select, Living Promise, right? We just put equity protection, right? We're just keeping it very, very simple for them. This is just a great way to show these slides. Again, customize them how y'all want. That's the cool part, right? It's PowerPoint. but keep it very, very simple, right? I don't even use slides. I just have them write it down, right? But I have this exact same thing that you're looking at. I just handwrite that on my notepad, right? Here's a perfect example, right? I just handwrite the exact same thing, two accidentals, right? And three programs at the bottom. So I literally have that written down and I'm just saying, hey, grab a pen and paper, Jackie, because I'm going to go over the coverage. And I do it just like that. I like to see them, right? Either way works. Find what works best for you, right? Some folks work well. James does every single appointment with those slides, right? Find what's going to work with you for you, right? And again, I don't use it. I just have them write it down. But they do got to see it visually. So that is very important, right? So you either have to make them write it down or you have to show it to them on some kind of slide. Okay. They do have to see it visually, right? They got to see it with their eyes. Do not just say it and think they're memorizing. No, they're not, right? Because they got to look at it and say, hey, well, this program will work, this one and this one, right? Because again, we teach them to get multiple programs. They got to be able to see it. So
Hey, Joe, I just want to edify that. I had a lady driving, I think it was yesterday, and it's become my way of getting them to like sit down, whatever you're doing, stop. So I'll say, do you have something to write with? And she was like, no, do I need something? I was like, well, it just helps me if I can see something to know what I'm looking at really. And she's like, you know what? I'm that person too. So thank you so much. She pulled over to a parking lot, sat there through the whole appointment and wrote an application. Like we're waiting for bank information. But still, we got there, like that's been my way to get them to
they got to write it down, right?
slow down.
Yeah, they got to write it down. Don't let them take the out, right? Well, just tell me it. No, you need to write it down. Hey, if you can't write it down, great. We'll reschedule. Do not go over options if you can't make it visual. I promise you, you're wasting your time. You're going to get to think about it. You're guaranteeing you think about it. So making sure you do that. And then the final thing on prepping is, hey, how do I know what carrier to go to? Again, right? The carrier order, right? Check with your agency owner, right? Everyone's a little bit different, but our order, right, of making sure you get an instant decision no matter what. The first carrier is, hey, I got an appointment tomorrow. Can I write them with Americo? Right? They have either their term product or their whole life, the Eagle Select. Can I use Americo's, right, to protect that family? The second carrier is Mutual of Omaha. The third carrier is SBLI. The fourth carrier is AMAM. And then the final carrier is AIG and Corebridge. If you follow this order, you should not get off the appointment without an instant decision and that family's protected. I have written 43 applications this month. Every single one is approved and paid. Not a single one did not. I wrote more. I wrote probably 50 something applications because they got declined and we had to pivot and we had to move. But every single appointment that I was on, we got off the Zoom and they were protected. The policy was in place. It was issued. They have it. And I was paid the next day or within a day or two. Every single one. Keep it in that order, no matter what. Again, get with your agency owner. The reason is because they're going to instantly decline, right? And I think that's super important to talk about. I think we get scared as an agent, like, oh my God, they got declined. You want the decline right there and then so that you can pivot, right? Again, one of the reasons we don't start with American Amicable is they're going to more than likely go to underwriting, right? And guess what you have to do? You're going to have to wait. Right? A day or two. I'm not in the business of that. Again, 43 applications, $40,000 have been deposited to my bank account because every single family that I got off of an appointment with was issue paid, they're covered, and I have no follow-up. Right? We're done there with the work. If you want to get paid really fast and get paid on every single sit, follow those orders. I promise you, I didn't come up with them. We figured out they came up with themselves, if that makes sense, right? They put themselves where they need to be based on, I want to make sure they get issued right there and then. And again, counsel with your agency owner, because sometimes they're doing different things, right? Making sure that what works best for your team. Any questions on prepping? And Brooke, I think I saw you on here. And Amber, right? Anything y'all want to add to that, right? Setting up for appointments, making sure, again, don't do this by yourself. You have a team. Please do not try to figure out an appointment by
I'm
yourself.
on here. My camera's just been off, but I do have something to add. I have written the most apps I have ever in a
14
month.
app? Is it 14 apps for the past 2 weeks and you're at like 27 apps for the month?
28, but
28? Let's go.
and yeah. And the secret is I've been prepping with Amber. I think before, not I think, it was before I was prepping with Amber, I got an ego that I can write business. I've had some good apps. I can do this by myself. And then I went backwards and I was like seeing Amber level up. So I was like, dude, I need to get with you and prep. And ever since then, she has simplified like my options, exactly what Joe's saying. So just don't allow yourself to get that ego. It's really easy to do when you writ some good apps, but always check yourself and make sure that you are talking to the people that have the best interest in you. And that is going to be your upline because when you're winning, we're all a team. So just talk to the people that have the best interest in you.
And I
So
love that. You know what you said? That's a great point, right? Make sure it's your direct upline, right? Or in your upline, right? Like, yes, we're a huge team. We all love each other. We're all going to give each other the best advice, but realize there's a different investment in your upline in you, right? Like if I were to ask Tequila for help, she's going to give me the best advice that she has, right? And she's going to do it with the best of her heart. But right, there's no financial tie, right? Make sure the person that you're getting advice from has a financial tie because they want to make sure a little bit more than the other person that you get paid, right? Because that's the only way they get paid. So just remember that too, right? And then that they're also going to give you their best resource, right? Because hey, I have great ties with Andrew Costa, which is from America. Let me tell you, one of my direct agents has a problem. I make a phone call or a text message and it's fixed today, right? Like I have that ability, right? The Gillums are a great example. They are powerhouses in American Amicable, right? They make a phone call to Pete, right? Their rep, and it's fixed right there and then. They have overturned policy, right? Right. Stay inside of your upline because they're going to have the best right advice for you and the best resource to help you. Right. So that's also why I say, right, make sure you counsel with your agency owner because little things like that matter, right? It's the end of the month. Let me tell you, right? We're making phone calls to reps to make sure your business gets issued. But guess what? If you didn't do it the way I taught you, right? If you're in my direct downline, right? I may not have that much power because you went with a carrier that I don't normally work with. Right. So just remember that too. Your upline always has your best interest in right and making sure you help that family so that you can get help and they can get help. So always, I love you brought that up, Amber or Brooke.
Joe, one thing I wanted to touch on too, just going back to finding that order that makes sure you can get the client covered as soon as possible, right? It is always about, hey, can I get paid? Can I move on? But we don't always realize that, saving this client maybe 30 cents, maybe $5 a month, that extra week that we had to spend calling them back, that we had to get calling the carrier, waiting on the phone. I'm doing that with 3 or 4 policies right now that, right, even in following that system, you still get those sometimes where you've got to get bank info again. I'm finding it's taking time away from my ability to help other families, right? It's time that I'm taking away from being on calls, from helping my team. So we're busy professionals. You have to make sure that you're taking care of that client, but you're also able to take care of all of the clients that you have. And so by helping that client, you got to make sure that you're respecting everybody. So
Yeah. I mean, this is a business, right? We want to keep it
Okay,
as
that's fine.
simple as
All right, thank
possible
you.
for y'all, right? So making sure again you find the right order for you so that again your business is simple. That's a great point, right? Because you can find yourself with a lot of follow up because you went with random carriers, right? Again, we are really good at issue paid, right? And y'all just heard from Nathan. I think he has the highest issue paid in our entire mat. He's at a 90%. That means if he writes it, it gets paid and it stays on the books, right? So it's just super important to make sure you have a system, right? Again, find your system. Every agency owner has their order, but stick to it. I promise you, it works, right? That's the main thing, right? It's not so much keeping the order I just gave you, but find the order that's going to work best for you, right? And based on your agency, right, it could be a little bit different. So,
Joe,
like, yep.
What's the order of, or an example of a time that you would reach out to Andrew with Americo or Pete with MM? I mean, can they help with underwriting something that's close, or why would you call them?
So again, right, that's a your agency owner phone call. But right, so the only reason we would reach out if something's stuck there forever, but they don't do underwriting, right? They just have the power to say, hey, underwriters, can you look at it a little bit faster for us?
Got it.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions on prepping, right? Making sure, again, the biggest lesson, don't do this by yourself. There's too many of us, way too many of us in the workroom, way too many of us in your uplines, right? Like, don't try to figure this out by yourself. I promise you it's an ego thing, right? If you're like, I got this, right? I don't even have this, right? I continue to prep with my brother, Amber, Nate, like we work as a team, and that's what gets us the results we have. So the next one is working your leads. This is where you make your money. Okay, this is where your feelings get hurt. This is where you have to take emotion out of the business. Okay, in case you don't know, I'm gonna give you all some really bad news, but you got to know it. Okay, you're gonna get yelled at, you're gonna get rejected, you're gonna get told no, you're going to have that appointment. And Brooke, I love you because Brooke's our little heart, right? In our agency. She will call me and she's like, oh my God, Joe, this is the one. Yes, I promise they got there. They have all, and because she just loves her clients. Like I can hear it in her voice, right? And she made them pinky promise and swear and cross, right? Stick a needle in their eye and all that good stuff that tomorrow